Hi class, and today we're starting a new topic, 7.13, Basic Rules of Algebra. So there's our LO. Don't worry, it's going to pop up many times. So this is just a breakdown of the next section. So we're going to start off doing a KPI just to remind ourselves about how we add and subtract negative numbers, looking at double signs, things like that. So first of all, here's your retrieval task. So if you can spend the next 7 minutes working through this, pause the video now. So first of all, if we've got a square, what do we know about a square? Both sides will be the same. So to find the area of this square, it will be some number times by itself gives us 100 centimeters squared. So we just have to square root that 100 and we get that each side length is going to be 10. Bus stop method, we're dividing 2,496 by 8. So how many times does 8 go into 2? Doesn't, carry the 2. How many times does 8 go into 24? 3 times. How many times does 8 go into 9? Once, carry the 1. How many times does 8 go into 16? Exactly twice. So we don't have a decimal part, it's just 312 the answer. The area of the parallelogram, we do base times by perpendicular height, not this number here, if that's what you've done. We're given that it's millimeters, so our answer for the area is going to be millimeters squared. Convert this to a decimal. Now, me personally, I like to do what the person that answered these did. So I would get my denominator to 100. So I know if I times 20 by 5, I'll get 100. To keep the fraction equivalent, I also have to times the top by 5, and I get 30 over 100. Do the division, 0.3. This one here, calculate the following and write your answer as a mixed number. So first of all, I'm going to want to change this fraction here into a... so for this fraction, I want to turn this mixed number, 3 2/3, into an improper fraction. So I do the 3 whole number times by the denominator 3. So I get 9, add the 2, I get 11 over 3. Then as you can see, I'm going to want the same denominators. So my 11 over 3, I'm going to want to times that top and bottom by 5. As you can see, I've done that here. Denominators are the same, so I just have to add the 2 top numbers. I get 64 over 15, and now it wanted my answer as a mixed number. So I've just got to say, how many times does 15 go into 64? So 15, 30, 45, 60 goes in 4 times, and I have a remainder of 4 over 15. That's what's left. Finally, write these in ascending order so I can see that I have a decimal, a whole number, and 2 fractions. So me personally, I'm going to turn my 2 fractions into decimals. So I could do that just by doing my bus stop method and doing how many times does 8 go into 7. Remember to add your decimal points and your 0 placeholders. And then once it's like that, it's easy. So we say, right, so in ascending order, smallest to biggest. So the ones that are starting at 0 are going to be smaller than the whole one. Then we look to our number in the tenths column, and we have 0.65, so that will be first, then 0.75, then 0.875, and then 1. Mark those for me now, guys. How well did you do? Are there some that you've been struggling on week that maybe you need to go to Hegarty and practice? Maybe you just forget on the parallelogram what you meant to be timesing together. Okay, so now we're going to be having a look at reminding ourselves as to how we do addition and subtraction. I've put a number line on the side for you, and you've got your success criteria at the bottom, as you always do. Right, beautiful. I managed to get my pen. So first of all, if we're subtracting a positive number, then we move down the number line. So we're subtracting, and it just says 4. So first of all, we find our starting point. So our starting point minus 2 is going to be here. And then we're subtracting 4, so we're going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to end up at -6. So pause the video now and give yourselves 20 seconds to complete the redo. Okay, so now we're on -1. That's our starting point, which is here. We're then going to move down 6 places because we're subtracting 6. So we're going to end up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're going to end up at -7. So again, now we have more than one term. So our starting point is -1. We're going to go down 4, which represents this bit. So we're going to end up at -5, and then we're going to go down another 2. So that's going to be -7. Pause the video now and give yourselves 20 seconds to work through the redo. Okay, so this one's a little bit different. So now our starting point is -7, which is down here. And we're now adding +4. So we're going to move upwards this time. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we end up here at -3. Give yourselves the mark if you got that right. Okay, so now we've got some more. So I'm going to look at, we've got +4 as our starting point, which is here. And then we're going to subtract a +7. So we're moving down 1, 2, 3, 4. And so my start point was 4. If I take off 4, I get back to 0. I've still got 3 more to take off. So 1, 2, 3. So we end up here at -3. I'm now going to move on to the other I do. So our start point is -4, which is here. And then I'm going to add 13. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So again, I started at -4. When I add 4, I get back to 0. But I still have some more to add. So we've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I end up, for this one, at 9. So again, my start point is negative, but the amount that I'm adding is bigger than my start point. So it's going to become positive. So now if you can pause the video and give yourself a minute doing both of these redos. Okay, so for our first one, we have a start point of 4 and we're subtracting 13. So we're moving down 13 places. So we start 4, we're going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So we've ended up at -9. And then for our last one, our start point is -4 and we're adding 4. So we know that if we're 4 below 0 and we add 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, we've looked at that before, we're going to get back to 0. So give yourselves the mark if you got that right. We're now going to give you a chance to practice some of these. So if you can pause the video now and work through these for the next 4 minutes. Shouldn't take you too long and you have got your number line to help you. Okay, so here are the answers for that first set. How did you do? Was there any patterns with any that you didn't get right? Did you find a method that worked for you? Remember to use the number line and the success criteria to help you. So now we're going to have a look at negative numbers and fill in the gap. So first of all, finding the missing value. So our success criteria at the bottom says pick your starting point, which is -5, which is here. And now we want to get to -6. So do we need to move upwards or do we need to move down? Well, as you can see, we need to move down. You can see the -6 is there. So we need to take away 1 to get there. So it already says that we are subtracting. So we just need to subtract 1. So pause the video now and give yourselves 30 seconds to try and figure out the answer to the redo. This first redo. Okay, so we're at -5 and we want to go to -4. So we want to go up this time. So we want to add 1. Give yourselves the mark if you got that right. Moving on to the next one. So we want to find the missing value here. So we're at 1 and we're subtracting something. So we're at 1, which is here. and we want to get to -4, so we're definitely going downwards. So we are subtracting, but how many spaces? So let's have a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we want to subtract 5. And if you think about it, if we're at 1, we need to come down 1 to get to 0, and then we still need to come down another 4 to get to -4. Okay, so now we don't have our starting point, but we know that we're going to be adding 5, which means we're going to be going up to get to 4. So if we are at 4, can I get another colour for? Yeah, go on then. So we're going to end up, so this is where our problem solving comes in. We're going to end up at 4, and we've moved up 5. So let's do it in reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, so if we were at -1, we add 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We get to 4. So our answer is -1. Give yourselves the mark if you got that right. I'll just put that in red for anyone that can't see it. So give yourselves the mark if you got that right. And now you're going to practice some more for me, guys. So try and fill in the gaps. Remember to use at the bottom of your page your success criteria. Also remind you at the bottom that a positive next to a minus gives you a minus. And if the symbols are the same, so a negative next to a negative, that gives you a positive. Give yourselves 4 minutes again working through this. Okay, and here are your answers. So give yourselves a minute to mark these. Again, think about the patterns that are there with regards to any problems that you struggled with or any that you made silly mistakes with. Maybe it's just the way that you're writing it out. Maybe you just need to be a little bit more careful. And now finally we are going to look at having the double symbols together. So like we said, when the symbols are different, that tells us that it's going to become a negative. When the symbols are the same, this tells us that it's going to become a positive. So we've got 7 and we're subtracting -4. So that's 7 plus 4. Using our number line, we're going to get 11. So now on the next idea, we've got our starting point is -7. So we're starting here. We're adding -4. So that's basically becomes -7 subtract 4. So the subtract 4 means that we're going down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, which would be -11. And that is our answer. So pause the video now and give yourselves a minute to try and solve both of the we-dos. Both of the we-dos. Okay, so here we go. So the first one, we end up with 7 plus and a minus gives us a subtraction. So 7 minus 4 gives us 3. And -7 subtract -4 gives us +4. So it's -7 add 4, which gives us -3. Give yourself the mark if you got both of those right. Let's have a look at some tricky ones. So we end up with a start point of -7. We're then going to add 4 and add 10. So if we have -7 and we add 4, we're going to move up to -3. If we then add 10, we're going to move all the way up to 7. +7. So pause the video now and give yourselves 30 seconds to try and solve this first we-do. Okay, so we have a starting point at -7. We are subtracting -4, so that's going to become an addition. We're then also subtracting -10, so that will become an addition. And in total, let's starting point is -7, add 4. We go, so -7, add 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We get to -3. We still need to add 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there we go, we end up getting at 7 again. So for our next one, we have a starting point of -7. Addition of a -4 gives us subtraction of 4. And a subtraction of -10 gives us +10. So let's start off at -7. Move down 4, we end up at -11. Then we add 10, so we're going to end up at -1. Use your number line still if you need to, if you want to. So next of all, I'd like to pause the video and give yourselves a minute trying to solve the next redo. Okay, so here we go. So we've got -7, addition of a -4, which is just going to be a subtraction of 4, and then an addition of a -10, which again is going to be subtract 10. So we're at -7. We go down 4 to -11. And then we're going to subtract 10 again. So we're going to go 10 further down. So it's going to be equal to -21. Give yourselves the mark if you got that right. Be careful that it needs to be -21. Okay, so here you go. I'm going to say, can you give yourselves 5 minutes this time working through these? And here are your answers. Right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to look at getting started on the topic. Now that we've done our recap, now we can move into bringing in the more complex elements. So we're looking at collecting basic terms in algebra. So x is the length of a single lorry. But what is the length of all 4 of these lorries together? We don't know the exact length at the minute. That's why we're representing it by x. X is our unknown. It's also known as a variable. So we don't know what the length is at the minute, so we just represent it by x. So if x is the length of a single lorry, then we could just add them up. So it's equal to 4 lengths of the lorry. So 4x. So if A is the cost of an apple, what is the total cost of all of these apples here? So we have 3 apples to start with. We have 3 apples to start with. And we have 2 more apples added onto our basket here. And then we have another apple. So the cost of the apples is all the same. These 2 apples will cost the same as these 2 up here. So every apple costs the same. So how do we find out the total cost? Well, we can just add up the number of apples. So the total cost is just the cost of 6 apples, because we have 3 apples here, 2 apples here, and 1 apple here. And that can just be represented as 6a. Because as we've been told, a is the cost of an apple. Another one here, we have c is represented. C represents the length of a single car. So as you can see, we've got 3 cars there plus another 4. So we had 7 cars in total, and then we took away 5 cars. So there's only 2 cars left. So let's give it a go now. Now we don't have the illustrations anymore, but it's the same concept. So we have 7 lots of m. So let's have a look at our success criteria. So check all the terms have the same letter. So this here would be a term, and this here would be a term, because they are just a collection of a variable and a number that's times by it. So our letters are the same, so tick. So if yes, then add or subtract how many you have in total, so we can do that. So we've got 7 lots of m, and we're adding 4 lots. So 7 plus the 4 gives us 11, but it's 11 lots of m that we've got. So for our next I do, we've got 7 lots of m, and then we take away 1 lot of m. So we go down on our number line, so it's just 6, m. So pause the video now and give yourselves a minute to try and solve these two we-dos. Okay, so we have 7 lots of m, and we're subtracting 4 lots of m. If it helps you, you can still rename this as something else. So let's say that m represents marbles. You have 7 marbles, and we subtract 4 of those. You're going to be left with 3 marbles, 3m. Down here we have 1 lot of m. Like as we say in our last success criteria, x actually means 1 times by x. It's just we don't need to write the 1 because it just means 1 times by the m. But just having the m there, we get the same. We say the same thing. So here we have 1 marble and we add 7. So in total we're going to have 8 marbles. Give yourself a mark there for both of those if you got them right. Okay, so now let's have a look at a few trickier ones. So again, we have a check. So all our variables are the same. It's always m. So we do the first one. We've got 1m plus 7m, which gives us 8m. And then we're subtracting 3m. So that will give us 5m. Pause the video now and give yourselves a chance to do the we do. Okay, so we've got negative 7m, and then we're adding 7m. So on our number line, we would end up at 0, so we have 0 lots of m, which is just 0. Now again, you're starting to see why we did that starter, why we did those tasks at the start dealing with negative numbers. So we've got our start point of negative 7f, and then we're subtracting 4f. So it's going to go even further down the number line. It's going to go to negative 11f. Pause the video now and give yourselves 30 seconds to do the next we do. Okay, so we're at negative 7f and we're subtracting another f, another 1f. So we're going to go down the number line to negative 8f. Give yourselves the mark if you got that right. Okay, some further ones. So our starting point is negative 7f. We're subtracting 1f. So that's going to take us to negative 8f. And then we're subtracting another 3f. So we're going down the number line again to negative 11f. Pause the video now and give yourselves 30 seconds to do the we do. Okay, so our starting point is negative 7f. Then we're adding 4f, so it's going to go up the number line. So it's going to be negative 3f. Okay, for the next I do, we've got 4f and we're subtracting 7f. So our starting point is 4 and we're going down the number line by 7. So we're going to end up at negative 3f again. Pause the video now and give yourselves 30 seconds to try and solve the we do. So we started off at 4f. We're going down the number line because we're subtracting 10f. We're going to end up at negative 6f. Give yourselves the mark if you got that right. Okay, so again, some further practice. So we've started at negative 4 and we're adding 10 lots of f. So if we add our number line, we'd be moving upwards 10 spaces, and that would take us to 6f. I'll do the next I do, and you can try and do both we do's. So again, my starting point is going to be at negative 10, and I'm going to be moving upwards 4 spaces, if you can imagine that. So I'm still going to be negative, it's going to be 6f. So pause the video now and give yourselves a minute to try and solve both of these we do's. Okay, so this first one is a little bit more detailed. We now have 3 terms. So we start off at negative 10f, and then we add 4f. So again, that's going to take us up to negative 6f. But we still need to subtract 2f. So that's going to take us downwards again by 2 places. So it's going to be negative 8f. For our second redo, we've got negative 12f. So we're 2 more places down. And we're going to move upwards 12 places. So we're going to get to 0f, which again we know 0 times by f, because that's what the number, the coefficient, and the variable next to each other mean. It's just going to give us 0. So give yourselves the mark if you got both of those right. Okay, so here we go. We've got some GCSE questions here. So it shows you just how far this algebra goes. So we've got 4 times by 3x. So we know that that means 4 lots of 3x. So we could say 3x, add 3x, add, excuse my additions, add 3x, add 3x, because that's all 4 multiplied by means we've got 4 lots of them, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we could use our success criteria and say, okay, well, all the x's are the same, so we can collect them. We've got 3. We're adding another 3, so 6, add another 3, 9, add another 3, 12. So we've got 12 lots of x. We've also, here, again, all of our letters are the same, so it's all A. So we've got 7a, and then we're subtracting 3, so we're going to go down our number line to 4a. We're then going to add 6a, so we're going to go up our number line, so we're going to go to 10a. Okay, so I will leave this one for now, but can you give yourselves the chance to have a look at these and just think about, using the success criteria at the bottom, how would you tackle these? You can give them a go if you'd like. The first one you should be able to do. Give yourselves a minute to try these. Okay, so on the first one we see all our n's are the same. So we're on 4n and we subtract 3n. So we're going to go down, so that's going to take us to 1n. We still then need to add 5n, so that's going to give us 6 lots of n. Now this one at the bottom, we have a 5 on its own, we have an a here, an a here, but then here we have b's. So we can't add the a's and the b's together because we don't know that the a's and the b's equal the same thing. So, and don't worry if this is a little bit too fast for you at this point. You will come to this later on. So we have 2a minus a 6a. You see those two there. Minus 6a. So 2a take away 6a. We know that that's going to give us, let's get rid of this. We know that is going to give us negative 4a. So if we just break them down, and then we've also got the positive 7b and plus 1b. Addition of 1b. So that's going to give us plus 8b. So you have to break those up there. Okay, so this should be a lot less daunting now. So if you can pause the video and solve some of our practice examples. We have all the same variable. So if you've understood those GCSE questions and been able to solve them, great work. That's fantastic at this level for you. You've only just been introduced to it. So pause the video and give yourselves 5 minutes trying to work through these. Okay, so here we go. Here are our answers. Give yourselves a mark out of 15. Here is the next set. So again, evaluate these. Again, pause the video and give yourselves 15 minutes. And here you go. Again, give yourselves a mark out of 15. Would you look at that? All negative apart from one. So, great work today on the lesson, guys. If you're really proud of your work, make sure you do take a picture of it and send it through to your teacher. And then hopefully that can make its way to, who knows, maybe the head of maths, maybe your head of year. We really want to see the work that you're getting on with at home. If you're really proud of it, we'd love to see it. Now's a good time as well to reflect on what did you understand, what did you struggle with, and how do you think you can improve on the things that you struggled with. Again, just another reminder, make sure you're checking your Hegarty Maths and make sure you're sending your work to your teacher in whatever way they wish, so that they know that you're engaging and you're working really hard. Well done, guys. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.